Chapter 1501. No matter how Olivia thought about it, she felt that there was something off about the Fordhams. Quinn was dead, Sean had a broken leg, and Avery was on the verge of death as well. If the real culprit was in the Fordham family, everyone would be a suspect. Even Reginald, who seemed to be quite nice. Just then, Olivia received a call from Avery. She picked up. "Mr. Avery, I heard that you've arrived, and you even managed to get Sean to fall asleep." The news had traveled fast. If even Avery knew about it, then the culprit must have heard as well. To Olivia, this wasn't a good thing. Her voice turned a little gloomier. "Yes." Avery could hear the odd tone in her voice. He hastily asked, "Is it very difficult to cure my brother's leg?" "Mr. Avery, it's not about the leg anymore." "What do you mean?" "I suspect that there's a problem in your family. Someone wants Mr. Sean dead, and this person must know every one of you very well. Mr. Avery, please keep my identity a secret at all costs." In reality, Avery had already sensed that early on. Still, it pained him to hear an outsider speaking the truth. "Don't worry, Liv. You can trust Reginald. My men are in charge of security, too. They'll make sure that you're safe." "What else did you find out?" Olivia gazed at the rain on the other side of the window. She voiced her guess. "Mr. Sean is inflicted with slow-acting poison. Someone had purposely led him to depression. The accident was just a cover-up. Didn't you notice that the place he lives in is filled with desolation in every corner? Even a normal person living here for a long time will get depressed, let alone someone who has a broken leg." Avery replied, "His house. I didn't quite notice that. Ever since the accident, Sean's personality has changed drastically. His preferences are also totally different from before. Our family allowed him to just move out, too." "You said that he was poisoned, right? Is it very serious?" Olivia frowned. "If it's just a few months, the poison won't have much of an effect. But if it has been going on for years, the poison will affect the man's sperm, and the victim will become infertile. Various organs will also slowly fail to function, and the worst thing is..." On the other end of the line, Avery was already holding his breath. "What is it?" "This poison is undetectable in a short period. The victim will, at most, look depressed. By the time they notice that something is wrong with their body is already ruined. Mr. Sean didn't live with your family. So, during the time you didn't see him, you'd only think that he developed mental problems because of his accident. You wouldn't link it to poison. The person who poisoned him is very cruel and quite patient as well. Mr. Avery, who did your family offend? This poison is called the intoxicating veil. It's a type of toxin developed by the toxic hive." Avery gritted his teeth in anger. The toxic hive again. Olivia found it quite coincidental as well. After all, her background had something to do with the mastermind in Toxic Hive. The Fordhams were involved with the Toxic Hive, and even Ethan's sister was involved as well. Could this all be part of someone's plan? The poison is like alcohol. You don't feel drunk at first, and it slowly seeps into your organs. By the time you notice it, you're already wasted, and it'll be too late by then. It's not apparent on the surface, and there aren't any symptoms. But after so many years, Mr. Sean's blood test reports should show that something is off. Someone is hiding the truth." Olivia went straight to the point. "This person must be someone very close to you. Think about it. Who could it be?" Chapter 1502. Avery had a dark look on his face. He had already noticed the problem early on, but he never managed to figure out who the culprit was. In the past, he only suspected that someone had tampered with him. After all, he found many kidney sources via various methods at the start. However, the kidneys were either incompatible, or their owners couldn't make it for various reasons. Avery didn't expect that Sean would also be a victim of a scheme. He was extremely furious about that. He had secretly suspected some people, but he had ruled them out one by one. Who could it be? Who could be so vicious and so cunning at the same time? "Can you cure Sean's poison?" Olivia said honestly, "Yes, but it'll take some time. Mr. Avery, it'd be best if you don't tell anyone that Mr. Sean was poisoned. We don't want to alert the enemy." We might also be able to identify that person in the meantime. You mean, the person who wants to hurt you guys must care a lot about Sean's health. We just have to play along with their plans, and we might just nab the mastermind this time. If the person knows that I have figured out that Mr. Sean was poisoned, they might come up with more ways to cause him harm. I see. You're planning to treat Sean in secret and then find out the truth. Yes. I'll do my best to cooperate, Liv. Thank you so much. You were kind to me before, Mr. Avery, so I'm just repaying your kindness. Anyway, I'll do everything in my power to heal Mr. Sean. Olivia left a few more instructions before falling asleep. She was in an unfamiliar place, so even though she felt exhausted, she woke up before dawn. Willow was still sleeping soundly beside her. Olivia was wrought with troubles, and she couldn't sleep at all. She gazed at the gradually brightening sky, her eyebrows furrowing deeply. Toxic Hive was involved in this matter. She had suffered greatly because of the Toxic Hive, too, so Olivia would always be more wary of them. Someone who had close relations with the Toxic Hive might be hiding among the Fordhams. Olivia quietly got out of bed and washed up. She had already made plans in her mind. She was wondering how she could find clues leading to the Toxic Hive, so this case might be a great help. After learning that the villa wasn't safe, Olivia didn't dare to take even a step away from Willow. She waited until Willow woke up. Then, they went downstairs together. Willow had an attention to detail, and she could also communicate with animals. So, Willow might be able to help Olivia. The two took a walk around the villa. When they came back, they heard a gentle voice speaking. Sean, you look much better today. Did you change your medication recently? No, a new doctor came over last night, and I managed to fall asleep without taking medication. I slept like a baby last night. Sean's voice sounded much gentler, and he didn't sound as dejected as he did last night. Oh, who's that amazing doctor? I hope they can cure you completely, Sean. Sean was about to say something when Olivia's altered voice rang out. Mr. Sean, you're awake. Did you sleep well last night? When Sean looked at her, his gaze was no longer disdainful like it was last night. He hadn't slept so soundly in a while. Dr. Fordham, I'd like to apologize for the situation last night. You're truly amazing. I slept very well. Sean, is this the doctor who managed to put you to sleep? Olivia examined the woman she had met on a few occasions before. This woman was the sixth child of the Fordham family, Jacqueline Fordham. They didn't meet often. Jacqueline looked elegant, and she even looked a little like Olivia. Unlike Olivia, Jacqueline was the pampered princess of the Fordham family. Hello, my name is Susie Fordham. Hello, Dr. Fordham. Your last name is Fordham, too. It's quite an interesting coincidence, isn't it? Chapter 1503. Olivia didn't expect Jacqueline to be the first person to visit. From her deductions, the person who wanted to harm Sean the most would be the most concerned about him. Olivia and Avery had planned in advance that other than Avery, no one else would know that Olivia was treating Sean. Unless they were the mastermind who must have been keeping an eye on Sean, they would know that someone had arrived at Sean's villa right away. Was it a coincidence that Jacqueline came here, or, even if Jacqueline was the sixth child of the family, Olivia wouldn't let any possibility slip by. Olivia explained calmly, Fordham is the last name of my teacher, who had taken me in. My real last name isn't Fordham. And you are. Sorry, Dr. Fordham, I forgot to make the introductions. This is my sister, Jacqueline. When Sean spoke, he seemed much gentler. Olivia could see that the siblings were very close to each other. Back then, when Olivia was with Avery, she had also heard Jacqueline calling him. If it were before, Olivia would never suspect Jacqueline. But now, Olivia couldn't trust anyone. She looked calm, and there weren't any expressions on her face. Hello, Miss Jacqueline. I heard Sean calling you a doctor. May I know what your specialization is? Is it psychology? Please have a good look at Sean. His mental health is getting worse recently, and he even had the tendency to end his life. Olivia studied Jacqueline's gaze earnestly. She noticed that Jacqueline's eyes were filled with worry. Did she overthink it? Sorry, I don't know psychology that well. I came over to treat Mr. Sean in my teacher's place. May I know who your teacher is, Dr. Fordham? He's just a doctor in the countryside. He's not very famous. Olivia glossed over her background, which also hinted that she wasn't quite good at medicine. You're too humble, Dr. Fordham. After all, Sean has always had severe insomnia, and he can only go to sleep if he takes medicine. But right after you arrived, you managed to put him to sleep. I can see that you have quite the talent. I trust that you can easily heal Sean's leg as well. You're too kind, Miss Jacqueline. I'm just here to check in on Mr. Sean in my teacher's stead. As for his insomnia, I just happened to bring some scented candles along with me. I'm not good enough to heal his leg. Olivia belittled her medical skills on purpose so that she wouldn't draw attention. How is Sean faring, then? To be honest, I haven't examined Mr. Sean yet. I arrived too late last night. It was only then that Sean spoke up. By the way, Dr. Fordham, you checked my pulse last night, right? How is my health? Jacqueline looked at Olivia. Olivia said calmly, Mr. Sean, you've been depressed for long periods of time, so your body is a little weak. You need to solve the issues that are troubling you, and you also have to work out and eat a balanced diet. Olivia didn't know if she was seeing things, but she felt as if she noticed a relaxed look flashing across Jacqueline's face. As for your leg, Mr. Sean, I'll give it a thorough examination after breakfast. It was only then that Jacqueline noticed the child standing beside Olivia. This child is, oh, she is my daughter. Sorry, she can't speak, so she can't say hi. Please forgive us. It's okay. She looks quite adorable, and she has green eyes, too. Is her father? He's from another country. Sean interrupted the two. Jacqueline, you seem quite interested in Dr. Fordham. Dr. Fordham, you haven't had breakfast, right? The examination can wait. You should have breakfast first. All right. Holding Willow's hand, Olivia walked away. Olivia could feel someone's gaze trained on her from behind, and it stayed there for a long time. Chapter 1504. Willow followed Olivia obediently. When she walked, the sound of bells accompanied her. Sean couldn't help but pay attention to her. Jacqueline looked quite enthusiastic as well. The Fordhams were a huge family, and Jacqueline was a pampered child. However, she was especially gentle and generous, and she didn't look like a haughty lady from a rich family at all. At the dining table, she was very considerate towards Olivia and Willow. She looked very polite, and people like her were usually well liked. Olivia only had one thought in her mind: Jacqueline couldn't possibly be the culprit. If it truly were someone like her, it would be too terrifying a thought. She would have to be an extremely cunning person, and her ability to keep things under wraps would be a talent in some ways. After breakfast, because of Jacqueline's urging, Olivia finally started examining Sean's leg. She felt Sean's bone and then glanced at the X-ray he had taken not long ago. Dr. Fordham, how is Sean's leg? He can definitely be cured, right? Olivia frowned. It's tricky. The injury Mr. Sean sustained back then is too severe. He has had several operations, but they don't seem to work very well. Even if my teacher is here, he might not be able to cure Mr. Sean. Moreover, I'm too inexperienced. Sean's gaze darkened. He thought Olivia was amazing as she could cure his insomnia. So, he assumed that she definitely knew how to heal his leg, too. It's okay. Even the top doctors in the world have treated my leg, and they still can't do anything about it. It's not your fault that you can't cure it. Olivia said, don't be so discouraged, Mr. Sean. Even though I can't cure your leg, at least I can alleviate your insomnia. I didn't come in vain. I didn't expect you to be so talented at such a young age, Dr. Fordham. Sean loses sleep almost every night, and he can't go to sleep without medications. If you can cure him, our family will be greatly indebted to you. You're too kind, Miss Jacqueline. Anyway, I'll do what I can. Olivia curved her lips into a gentle smile. Perhaps modern medicine can't do anything about it. But I know herbal medicine, so it might help. Sean nodded as well. I'll be eternally grateful to you if you can cure my insomnia. You're too kind. Still, unlike modern medicine, herbal medicine won't take effect right away. I hope that you'll give me some time, Mr. Sean. I've waited for so many years. I don't mind waiting a little longer. All right, Mr. Sean, if you don't mind, let's proceed with acupuncture now. With that, Olivia brought Sean back to his room. Jacqueline wanted to come in as well, but Olivia made an excuse to keep her out. Willow stood by the balcony and played her flute. The sound was melodious and pleasant. Olivia asked Sean to lie down. While she was inserting the needles, she asked casually, "Mr. Sean, you seem to be quite close to Miss Jacqueline. Logically speaking, with such a caring family, how could your mental illness have gotten so severe?" Sean sighed. "My siblings and I have been very united since young. It's just a personal issue. It has nothing to do with them." "That may not be true. You're all family, so it's only reasonable that you help each other out. With such care and concern from a wonderful sister like her, you'll definitely recover soon." "Yes, Jacqueline has always been very gentle and kind. She's very outstanding, too. After I got into the accident, she spent a lot of effort taking care of me. She even hired someone to design this house for me." Olivia's gaze turned cold. "What did you say? She was the one who hired someone to design this house?" "Yes, is there anything wrong with this house?" Chapter 1505. Olivia withheld her expression. She couldn't be sure that Jacqueline was the culprit based on the house design alone. She managed to calm down as she said, "No, I just find the design unique. It's a recent trend that came from Rivoria. It makes the house look clean and simple. I never liked fancy decorations, anyway. Moreover, after he got ill back then, he focused all his attention on his injury. Of course, he didn't care much about how the rooms were decorated." Olivia inserted the needle one by one. Back then, Marina had also gotten into an accident, and her condition was as bad as Sean's. Since Olivia could cure Marina, she could cure Sean as well. She didn't tell Sean about this secret. When Olivia was performing acupuncture on Sean, she casually mentioned Jacqueline so that she could get more information on this sister of his. Before she was done, a man's voice came from outside the door. "I'm here to visit Sean." Jacqueline explained patiently, "Troy, the doctor is performing acupuncture on Sean right now. Don't disturb her." "Acupuncture? Where did this doctor come from? Sean is in a bad enough condition right now. How can they just let a random doctor treat him? He might even get too worked up. How ridiculous." With that, the visitor opened the door. Olivia knew this person, too. He was the famous designer, Troy Fordham. However, compared to before, he had gotten much calmer. It was quite a huge change. It was quite lively today. Jacqueline was here, and Troy had come over as well. "Who are you?" Troy was obviously very cold to Olivia, and he was even hostile toward her. "You're getting the wrong idea, Troy. Dr. Fordham has amazing medical skills. With her help, I finally managed to sleep soundly last night." Troy examined Olivia from head to toe. She looked quite common, and she didn't seem like some sort of professional. "Really?" Troy looked at the man who was covered in needles. They weren't too familiar with herbal medicine, so Troy obviously didn't quite believe it. "Why would I lie to you? Other than with medications, I have never slept so well in such a long time. Dr. Fordham is indeed quite capable. Don't worry, Troy, I've personally witnessed Dr. Fordham's skills." After hearing Sean's words, Troy finally apologized to Olivia in a humble tone. "I'm sorry, Dr. Fordham. Sean's circumstances are a little special right now. I'm very sorry for being so rude just now." Compared to Jacqueline's gentleness, Olivia felt that Troy behaved more like a sibling who truly cared about Sean. "It's all right." Olivia continued the treatment. "By the way, Troy, you have a show to work on, right? Why did you suddenly come over to visit?" Troy explained patiently, "Jacqueline asked me if I had gotten a doctor for you, and that's how I found out that you have a visitor. We all love you very much, so please don't do that again." "I won't, Troy." For example, Sean's attempt to end his life wasn't caused by his mental turmoil. Instead, he couldn't sleep all night, and he grew aggressive because of it. After he stopped taking medications, his body was constantly in pain. In the end, after enduring it for a few days, he lost his mind and tried to end his life. Olivia remained silent nearby. After the acupuncture was done, she tactfully left the room. Ethan had sent her all the information on the Fordhams. Chapter 1506. Avery was the eldest child of the Fordhams. He was wise and capable, and if it weren't for his kidney disease, he was flawless. Any woman would easily fall for him. Troy loved drawing and designing from a young age, and he left the family business early on to establish his own brand of fashion and jewelry designs. He was also very well known internationally. Sean was an ace pilot. There were some highlights in the information Ethan had sent to Olivia. As it turned out, Zephyr Airways was part of the Fordhams' property. Back then, Sean was only practicing flying with the airline company, and he would be taking over his family's airline company the following year. It was then that the accident happened. Sean's girlfriend was a flight attendant. She looked pretty and pure, and they were quite close to each other. They had also promised to get married within 3 years. On the night before Sean's accident, his girlfriend suddenly broke up with him and went overseas. Sean chased after her, and he met with an accident on his way to the airport. Coincidentally, when his girlfriend heard that he got into an accident, she changed her mind. She rushed to the site of the accident, and she unfortunately got into another accident. However, she wasn't as lucky as Sean was. She died on the spot. Since then, Sean has been extremely bothered by her death. It had also caused Sean's depression. The most mysterious of the siblings was the fourth child of the Fordhams. He joined the army early on and held a very high position. Because of his special identity, he rarely went home. Next was the fifth child of the Fordhams, Quinn. If it weren't for her failed relationship, she would have become an outstanding doctor by now. Jacqueline was the sixth child. Her resume was perfect. She graduated from a famous university, and she was skilled in various arts. However, she couldn't be as outstanding as her siblings were. Misfortune fell upon Jacqueline's elder siblings one after the other. Their father, David Fordham, was still the one controlling most of the family's economic lifelines. After all, the Fordhams' property spanned the whole globe. The sons would help out in the past, but in recent years, Avery couldn't overexert himself. Hence, in recent years, Jacqueline started to learn the ropes in the Fordham family business. She began training as an heir. If this went on, it would only be a matter of time before she took over the Fordham family. Other than information on the main family, there was also information on some important figures from branch families. Even Avery didn't manage to identify the mastermind, so Ethan couldn't possibly do it. He could only organize the connections within the Fordham family and then let Olivia make her own decision. Based on the information, Olivia singled out several people. When Olivia turned around, she saw Willow staring straight at Jacqueline, unmoving. At that moment, Jacqueline was standing behind the wheelchair as she leaned in and said something to Sean. There was a faint smile on her lips. They painted the perfect picture of siblings living in harmony with each other. "What's the matter, Willow?" It was only then that Willow averted her gaze and signed something. Olivia only learned medicine, not witchcraft. Wendy once said that Willow had great potential. Even though Willow couldn't speak, she was very gifted and had a strong connection with spirits. Olivia didn't know about some things, but Willow knew a lot about them. "Can you figure out what sort of curse it is?" Olivia gazed at the smiling person in the distance. Why would a young lady of the Fordham family learn witchcraft? There wasn't any mention of that in the information Ethan provided. Witchcraft originated from Arlandia, but not many locals knew about the practice, let alone someone in a foreign place like Zealotria. Olivia wasn't discriminating against the practice. There were good and bad spells, and some of them could be used to cure illnesses and locate things. But most of the spells were created to take lives and harm others. Doctors and witches were like night and day. Witches were a very fearsome existence indeed. Chapter 1507. Willow signed again, telling Olivia to stay away from Jacqueline, for there was something off about her. Olivia nodded. "You should be careful, too." Willow shook her head, signing, "Mom, I'm not scared." She used to follow Wendy everywhere, and Wendy cared about her a lot. Wendy had cast a protection spell on her so that curses wouldn't come near or touch her. But Olivia was different. Olivia was an herb-imbued person, and she was immune to many toxins. However, she wasn't immune to curses and spells. These things were too dangerous. Olivia would fall victim to them if she let down her guard even a little. "I'll be careful." Jacqueline seemed to have sensed Olivia's gaze. She looked at Olivia and then smiled. The smile was warm and gentle, but Olivia felt a chill running down her spine. Jacqueline was wearing a tailored outfit, and she carried herself elegantly. However, she was also skilled in witchcraft. Olivia couldn't help but think of the word, femme fatale. Jacqueline slowly approached Olivia. Willow stood next to Olivia, unmoving. "Dr. Fordham, how long will it take you to cure Sean's insomnia?" Shaking off her thoughts, Olivia said calmly, "I'm not sure. Modern medicine is all about effectiveness, whereas herbal medicine aims to strengthen the body and proceed in small steps. It'll take a longer time." "Thank you for your hard work, Dr. Fordham," Jacqueline said kindly. "Since you're going to stay here for a while, I'll get a wider room prepared for you. You and your daughter can live more comfortably there. There's an empty room on the first floor, and it's quite close to Sean as well. It'll be easier for you to take care of him if you stay there. By the way, Dr. Fordham, where are you from? I can give orders so that the maids will prepare the dishes you like for every meal." "It's all right, Miss Jacqueline. Willow and I aren't picky. We'll eat anything. By the way, Dr. Fordham, you're such a great doctor, but why have I never heard of your name before? How did Sean find you?" Olivia smiled calmly. "It's just a coincidence. Compared to my teacher, I'm not that skilled in medicine at all. I'm here today because my teacher wanted me to expand my horizons. I rarely go out, after all. How could an esteemed person like you know about me?" Jacqueline seemed interested in learning about Olivia's background. But unfortunately, Olivia was tight-lipped. Olivia misguided people into thinking that her medical skills weren't that good at all. Avery had also called Sean and told the latter not to reveal anything and not to ask too much about Olivia's origins. Jacqueline didn't manage to get any information. Olivia didn't say much. So, Jacqueline crouched down and lifted a hand, trying to touch Willow's face. "You're so adorable, little girl. How old are you?" Willow and Olivia were wearing masks. Willow was smart enough to hide behind Olivia, avoiding Jacqueline's hand. Olivia explained, "Sorry, my daughter has always been quite shy." "It's okay, I just find Willow adorable. Anyway, Dr. Fordham, just make yourself at home. If there's anything you need, just tell me. You don't have to hold back, alright? I'm also counting on you to cure Sean as soon as possible." Olivia nodded. "I'll do my best. Are you staying here, too, Miss Jacqueline?" "Miss Jacqueline, I do admire how close you and Mr. Sean are. You're such wonderful siblings." Olivia sighed lightly. Jacqueline put on a gentle smile. It must be such bliss to live in a family like that. Olivia meant what she said. From a young age, she also hoped that she would have siblings. After her mother left, she only had her father left. Every time she saw other people with their siblings, her eyes would be filled with envy. Chapter 1508. Jacqueline glanced sideways at Olivia, asking, "Why? Dr. Fordham, are you an only child?" "I was abandoned by my parents as soon as I was born, and my teacher raised me. He treated me very well, but I'm all alone at home, for I don't have any siblings." "It's not as lively as your home, Miss Jacqueline." Olivia patiently chatted with Jacqueline for a long while. Then, Jacqueline's phone rang. It had something to do with work. So, Jacqueline had no choice but to leave in a hurry. Troy stayed behind instead. He seemed to be monitoring Olivia. Within half a day, Troy had gotten along very well with Willow. It all started when he was designing a dress, and he didn't quite like how the embroidery sample looked. Olivia asked for some herbs to be prepared while Troy worked on his design nearby. Willow noticed that he seemed hung up about something for a long while, so she went over to take a look. She quickly understood what Troy was looking for. She picked up a piece of paper and a pencil. Then, she began drawing at the side. Troy glanced at her from the corner of his eye. He just assumed that she was doodling stuff, so he didn't pay her much attention. But then, half an hour later, when Willow presented her colored draft to Troy, Troy's eyes lit up. He immediately recognized the gold embroidery on the pattern. He was immediately enlightened. Why didn't I think of using gold embroidery before? It's both gorgeous and dignified. Yes, it's perfect for the overall design of the outfit. Troy looked at Willow, his eyes lighting up a lot. Kiddo, you know about gold embroidery. And you can even draw. Willow had just stood at the side and looked for a moment, and she could already copy his embroidery sample with great ease. She was obviously very good at drawing. Willow signed something. Troy was puzzled because he couldn't read sign language. Olivia explained, in the village Willow lived in before, everyone knew gold embroidery. During festive seasons, the villagers will wear the dress clothes they embroidered themselves. So, she managed to pick up some knowledge. Troy didn't withhold his praise. Your daughter is really something. She's still so young. Has she learned how to draw before? She didn't take formal lessons. I just bought some art supplies for her when she was young, and I would let her doodle when she got bored. Olivia spoke like it was nothing. Of course, the outsiders wouldn't know that she was very skilled at drawing. Willow was her youngest child. Even though Willow couldn't speak, she had taken after all the best aspects of Olivia and Ethan. Willow was very talented in art, and Olivia had also given her drawing lessons back in the village. She was young, but she was even more outstanding than many adults. So, Olivia wasn't surprised that Willow could draw gold embroidery. Olivia didn't decline. Troy was a very skilled designer. Since Willow was gifted in this area, it wouldn't be a bad idea to let her learn from him. As long as you don't take her out of the villa, and as long as she agrees, I won't object to it. I have to prepare the herbs in the next few days, anyway, so I won't be able to take good care of her. The place was also very quiet, so he could have peace of mind as he prepared the clothes he had designed. Olivia was busy organizing herbs and performing acupuncture on Sean. Sean was a little surprised. Didn't you say that you can't cure my leg? Even if I can't, I'll have to at least give it a try. What if we find hope after all? Chapter 1509. People with depression would usually look like they have dark clouds hanging over them at all times. The light would be gone from their eyes, and they would regard everything in a negative light. Compared to Sean's leg, his heart was more important. Olivia had to help him open his heart somehow. As Olivia inserted the needles, she said in a gentle voice, "If you were troublesome, Mr. Troy wouldn't have kept watch over you even when he's working. Our family is our refuge, and they can accept and understand you no matter what. I heard that Miss Quinn died in an accident. How did you feel back then? If you leave this world, your family will feel the same thing you felt back then. This world may not be perfect, but as long as you're alive, you'll bring hope and happiness to the people around you. You're so young, and you're not even afraid of death. Why would you be afraid to live?" Sean stared at the green waves of grass rolling outside. Only he was privy to his own thoughts as he mumbled, "Yes, I don't even fear death, so what would I be scared of? He opened his palms, his gaze losing focus. "I just don't know how I should live anymore. If I don't take medications, I won't be able to sleep for the whole night. Dr. Fordham, do you know what it's like to wait from dawn till dusk and then wait some more for the sunrise? I don't want to lose my will to medications. I won't be able to survive even a second of that life." As expected, it was just as Olivia had guessed. Even though he was deeply disturbed by his girlfriend's sudden passing, time would slowly heal his wounds. It would form a scar in his heart, and when he thought about it, sometimes, he would get emotional. But this scar wasn't so powerful that he would seek his own death so many years later. The thing that was truly torturing him was his insomnia. He didn't want to take the medication every day, and that was how he ended up like this. Olivia wasn't an expert in mental illnesses, but she also knew that some medicine could lead to dependency. Such medicine was very strictly regulated, so even if doctors prescribed the medicine, they would do it in very controlled doses. They wouldn't let patients take the medicine every day. There was a slow-acting poison in Sean's body. Olivia had investigated for 2 days, but she couldn't find the source of the poison anywhere in the villa. She couldn't help but suspect that there was something wrong with the medicine Sean had taken before this. "Mr. Sean, do you still have the medicine you used to take? I'd like to check its ingredients. I have half a bottle left." When Sean heard Olivia asking for the medicine, he immediately asked Reginald to return to his room and get the medicine from his bedside table. A few minutes later, Reginald returned with nothing but a helpless look on his face. "Mr. Sean, I only found some vitamins in the drawer of the bedside table. I didn't see any medicine. Did you toss it away a month ago?" Back then, after stopping the medication, Sean wasn't in his right mind, and he had smashed and tossed away many things. Understood. However, after ending the call, Noah made another call. "Sean is asking me for the medicine. Miss, should I give it to him?" A woman's cold voice rang out over the phone. "Go ahead. Give him the normal ones." Understood. The woman coldly looked at her phone screen. A cold smile appeared on her lips. "That restless idiot is looking for death. It's okay. It's just a small bug digging her own grave. With just a flick of my finger, she'll be gone from this world." Chapter 1510. The man leaned in and kissed the woman on her neck. Their intertwined bodies were clearly reflected in the full-length mirror. The woman in the man's arms was none other than Jacqueline. The elegant look she put on for outsiders was gone. She didn't have the passionate gaze of a lover, either. Instead, she just had an extremely cold expression on her face as she gazed at the man fiddling with her. Jacqueline's mind was filled with Olivia's common-looking face. That woman was just too suspicious. Firstly, Jacqueline couldn't find out about her background at all. Secondly, even though humility was a great quality, she had belittled herself too much. In his current condition, how could Sean possibly get a doctor from nowhere? Who exactly had sent her? Jacqueline had chatted with her for a long time, but she couldn't glean any useful information from the latter. This was obviously abnormal. Jacqueline sensed that someone in the Fordham family was already secretly looking into things. She felt pain in her earlobe. The man had bit her hard. "You're still distracted even at times like this. Who are you thinking about?" Jacqueline shoved him away. Then, she picked up the coat the man had tossed onto the floor. She said with a cold face, "I'm not interested." The man refused to give in. He forcefully pulled her back into his embrace. "What exactly is the matter? You've been looking upset ever since you came back from your brother's place. Who bullied you?" Jacqueline sat in front of a dressing table at the side. She pulled the drawer open and retrieved a pack of Lada's cigarettes from it before skillfully lighting one. Her figure was slender and tall, and when she was smoking, she would half close her eyes. She looked cold and resolute, like a rose in the dark. She looked completely different from the adorable Miss Jacqueline everyone knew. Jacqueline slowly breathed out some smoke. "Sean got a doctor. It's just a doctor. The Fordhams have been hiring countless doctors for him in the past few years." The man put on a vicious smile as he said nonchalantly, "With that leg of his and the poison in his body, which has probably seeped into his organs, if everything goes well, he'll die within 3 years at most. What are you scared of? Our plan will succeed very soon." Jacqueline patted herself on the chest. "For some reason, I feel uneasy when I look at her." The feeling was the exact same one she felt when she suddenly faced Olivia back then. It was a fear that stemmed from the depths of her soul. "You're just paranoid. Now, you're the only one who can take over the Fordhams. Mr. Fordham Sr. has also said that he will give you the shares on your 28th birthday. When that happens, you'll be in control of the Fordham family." The man changed the subject. "If you're so worried about this doctor, I'll help you deal with her." Jacqueline raised her hand. "Stay put. I feel like Avery is starting to suspect something. The only 2 people capable of getting a doctor for Sean are either Avery or Vox. If she doesn't die, what do we do if she figures out all those secrets?" Jacqueline's long nails, which were painted in a nude color, tapped rhythmically against the table. "This doctor has suspicious origins, and she even hides her talent on purpose." The man scoffed. "No one is without weaknesses. If we can find a chance, we'll." "Right, that child." Jacqueline's eyes lit up. "That child would be the perfect target.